Thank you for joining us on this week's Hill Country Tribune's Insight. I'm Matt Briscoe, managing editor of the Hill Country Tribune. And joining me today is Alfredo Garcia Jr., and he's had a very storied life. Comes from Three Rivers, born in Three Rivers, Texas, down in South Texas. Raised predominantly in Freer, Texas, and retired from the Air Force as a lieutenant colonel. Alfredo, thanks for joining us.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Hello from sunny California.
Yeah, so Alfredo, tell me real quick. We were just talking. How did you end up in the United States Air Force? You were...
Okay. What like I said, I was graduated high school in 1971, went directly into college, Texas A&I, which I believe is now Texas A&M, and I studied there physics, and I graduated in December of 74. A few months before then, I knew it was going to be time to graduate, so I started looking for employment opportunities. And at the time, they just weren't hiring too many engineers and physicists and stuff like that. So I said, you know what, I got two choices. I can go try to find a job, or I can continue and get my master's. I said, I'm a little tired of school. I was married at the time, just freshly married. I said, I got a family. I got support. I got to start working. So I said, well, let me look into the military. So I went and interviewed with all four of the five services, everything except the Coast Guard. And I interviewed with the Army, Marines, and they presented good deals, but they were kind of infantry positions, and I just didn't see myself out in the field with a gun. So I said, I think I'll pass on that, guys. So then went to talk to the Navy, and the Navy said, we're going to put you in a submarine, a nuclear propulsion submarine group, and I thought about that, and I said, me in a tin can underwater, not a good idea. So then I left the Air Force, right? So I talked to the Air Force, and the Air Force said, hey, you got the right credentials. We want you. If you want to go, we'll sign you up tomorrow. I said, hey, where do I sign? Because they said, we're going to put you in the area of nuclear weapons maintenance.
So you didn't go straight to the Air Force, right? You didn't go straight to the Air Force. You went to college first, right?
No, I went to college first. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is when the Air Force hired me, or they enlisted me, in January of 75, they sent me to what is known as officer training school. Mm-hmm. And it was 90 days of intense physical mental training at Medina Air Force Base, which was an annex of San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base, which was there in San Antonio at one time.
Sure.
I don't think it's there anymore, but anyway, I went to officer training school and survived the 90 days. And it's interesting because when you graduate from the school, you affectionately carry the title known as a 90-day wonder.
Sure.
You did a whole lot of stuff in 90 days, and with the enlisted personnel, that kind of carries, hey, here comes another 90-day wonder, right?
Uh-huh.
And you graduate, you get commissioned as a second lieutenant, and which is also known as a butter bar. Mm-hmm. And so I entered the Air Force in 1975. Got my first assignment actually to the Los Angeles area. I had to go to Vandenberg Air Force Base for a few months of training. So that was my first time ever leaving Freer. Beyond, let's say, San Antonio was the furthest I've ever gone. Mm-hmm. And here I am in a little 1970 green Ford Maverick with my wife and a
Sure.
little trailer cutting across Interstate 10 all the way from South Texas to Los Angeles, and then up north to eventually what's known as Vandenberg Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. And underwent my training there, and I'll tell you what, that was something else for someone coming from a small town, having to traverse several states, coming to Los Angeles, and as soon as you pull into LA, you see this humongous large city that made San Antonio look small.
What was your first impression of it, Alfredo?
It was like, oh my God, this is out here. I'm actually going to be out here, because I just couldn't believe it. Both of us were just in amazement as we were driving along the freeway and seeing, building after building, car after car, the smog, all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of a exciting time for us because, it was all brand new to us.
Sure.
And we made it to Vandenberg. I graduated. They sent me to my first assignment. which was in Tucson, Arizona, at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base.
Sure.
And there, I was responsible for maintenance of 18 nuclear warheads that were sitting on top of the Titan ICBM missiles. So here I am, at age 22, responsible for essentially our nation's frontline defense as far as strategic nuclear weapons were concerned. And that was something else, okay? I mean, coming from Freer, Texas, right?
Right.
And here you're working on a nuclear weapon that's responsible for defending our country.
Absolutely.
It was just one of those things. It was just awesome. I mean, I thought it was fantastic.
Sure.
That the Air Force had given me that opportunity. And, time went on. I served a lot of different locations, a lot of different places for about 13 years. I did nothing but nuclear weapons maintenance. And then the second 12 years or so of my career, I decided I wanted to change career fields, and they put me in an area called systems acquisition. And basically it was the research and development side of the Air Force. And I got assigned to, my first assignment was the Air Force Weapons Laboratory in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And there I started my training in that area. I essentially became an engineer, physicist, worked on several critical projects like high-energy lasers, charged particle beams, a lot of the strategic defense initiative, Star Wars stuff that was going on when Reagan was president.
Sure.
We were on the front line development of that.
Absolutely.
So anyway, did that, and then I got assigned to Los Angeles Air Force Base. And Los Angeles was being assigned in Los Angeles proper was probably one of the turning points in my life. It changed my life entirely. And if it wasn't for that assignment, I probably wouldn't be who I am and where I'm at today.
Why is that?
I owe a lot to Uncle Sam.
Yeah. Well, why is that, Alfredo? Why do you say that?
Okay. The reason I say that is because I came to a place, after seeing a lot of the world, I came to a place that finally, I saw people here. I went to the beach, I went to the mountains, I went to the city, and I saw all these varied forms of life. And there were so many, many things to do, and so many things that I was interested in that were available right here at my fingertips, right? And I think that's why. And probably the thing that changed my life the most was while being assigned here from 86 to 90, actually in 1988, I went as a spectator to an event here in Los Angeles called the third annual Los Angeles Marathon. And I went there as a spectator. And I was there at the finish line of this marathon where people run 26.2 miles. A thought never would have crossed my mind about doing that. But anyway, I was there, right? And I saw people coming. I said, as I stood there and watched for literally hours as people were crossing the finish line, I said, no, 26.2 miles is something I want to do.
Sure.
I want to do it. I want to do it. So that's what I thought. I set my mind to it. 1988 summer, August to be exact. I started training, read some books, started training, and in March of 1989, I ran my very first marathon. And the reason I say it was a life-changing event is because since that point of August 1988 until present day, as of Friday, this past Friday, I have maintained running for over 29 years.
And you are an avid runner.
On average, 8 miles a day, 5 days a week. And to date, I have completed 125 marathons.
Good grief. And you just turned 64, right?
Yes, sir. I just turned 64.
Yeah. Happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was just last weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And y'all celebrated it this weekend, right? Y'all went to a pretty nice hotel, right? Your daughter gave you a gift, right?
We actually celebrated last weekend, too, because we, for my birthday, we actually ran a half marathon on our birthday.
I saw that.
A half marathon.
Absolutely.
And then this weekend, my daughter gave, because my lady's birthday is on the 22nd of March, so she made it a dual birthday. She gave us an overnight stay at the Magic Castle Hotel in Hollywood, California, where we could attend the Magic Castle afterwards. And I'll tell you what, that was an awesome experience.
I bet it was. And speaking of your lady, y'all do a lot of things together, don't you? Y'all, in addition to running, because she runs half marathons, right? And
right? She does.
Yeah, and you guys do cosplay together, and that's something very unique, especially pretty popular in the LA area. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's getting pretty popular around the entire country.
Is it?
But anyway, okay, so let me tell you a little bit first about her marathon running, or her half marathon
Sure.
running. I met her 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years this July. And at the time that I met her, none of what I'm about to tell you existed in her world. It's just things she would have never considered doing or attending or anything like that. So anyway, I knew she was physically active because she, we did stuff together, and I said, hey, do you want to get into running? She said, yeah, I kind of like that. And so we did a 5K, and then we went directly, and I said, well, hey, do you want to do something a little more challenging? You want to go maybe to a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles? And she said, yeah, let's do it. So in the past 4 years, 4.5 years, she's run 31 half marathons.
Wow.
Literally going from a 5K to a half marathon, and now 30 marathons later, 30 half marathons later, she's still going.
Wow.
She's going to catch up with me.
No kidding. No kidding. So,
so anyway,
yeah.
So anyway, then the other aspect, other things we enjoy doing, you mentioned the cosplaying. And for those of you that don't know what cosplaying is, it stands for costume play, which is where you get dressed up in your favorite character, whether it be a superhero, a villain, TV, movies. It's kind of open to all genres. And you go to these conventions, comic book conventions, like San Diego Comic-Con, New York City Comic-Con. They're all over the world. Los Angeles Comic-Con. There's even like the international Comic-Cons. And you go there with all these other cosplayers, literally thousands of them, and you have fun. You interact. You actually become the character. So we do several characters. I think we're up to like the 20 different what we call couples cosplays. And what that means is that whatever I do, she does the same thing, but in female form, or if there exists a female counterpart, we do the female, and if there doesn't, we create it. So, for example, Hawkeye, Black Widow.
Hawkeye and Black Widow.
From the Avengers.
Sure.
Right? I'm Hawkeye, she's Black Widow. And the interesting thing about that is, when I met her, within 2 weeks after I met her, we were just talking via email and stuff like that. And I sent her an email. I said, do you know who Black Widow is? Do you know what cosplay is? And she wrote back and said, no. I said, well, hey, there's a package coming to you. Try it on, and when you receive that package, send me a picture back, and we'll go from there. So I had sent her a Black Widow costume within 2 weeks of meeting her, okay?
Wow.
And I said, this is either going to make it or break it, right?
Right.
She's either going to tell me to go fly a kite.
Sure.
Or, hey, here it is, right? So fortunately, it was on the good side of the flip of the coin, and I got a picture later, and there she was. She had the red hair already, and she was in a Black Widow costume. And I said, okay, you are now my Black Widow, okay?
Nice.
And I'm Hawkeye.
There you go.
And that was like in July of 2012. And we did our first convention together in November of 2012.
Wow.
That's Hawkeye and Black Widow. And for many subsequent conventions, we did Hawkeye and Black Widow until we started expanding our repertoire. But it doesn't matter where we go. Everybody has a signature, and we have a signature cosplay. Ours is Hawkeye and Black Widow. We could be dressed up as Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and they'll come up and say, aren't you Hawkeye and Black Widow? Because you leave that impression on people, right?
Exactly,
So anyway, we do Hawkeye and Black Widow. We do Prince Charming and Cinderella. We do Sam and Cora from Tron Legacy. We do Steampunk Mickey and Minnie. We do Golden Age Flashes. We do Star Trek. We don't limit ourselves to one particular genre. We do Olaf and Anna from the Frozen movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a blast. It really, really is. Here we are.